Last hour, we have a returning guest, G.J. Reynolds. We call him G. Let's bring him on. G, welcome back.
I'm here. Thanks for having me back.
No problem. How are things today?
Life is good. Things are fantastic. The economy's scary, but I'm ready to talk about it.
You know, and the thing is, people need to realize you have written a book, The Playful and Powerful Warrior Within You. You went through a lot of crisis and turmoil in your life, and in 2001, you hit rock bottom to where you were almost suicidal and majorly depressed, correct?
That is correct, and you know, it was a process to turn my life around, and over the last, now it's been the last 11 years, you know, things are fantastic now. So 11 years ago, yeah, I was faced with depression, suicidal. Had no clarity of how to get out and turn my life around, and fortunately I was able to, and that's really what the book's about. What worked for me and how I went from that point to where I'm at today.
So your background, you've spent time in the military, 5 years. You've been in the business world. You've started businesses. You've trained salespeople and marketing people all throughout the country. And what are you doing lately?
Well, I mean, that's exactly what I've done over the last, 25, 28 years. And the last 21 years, I've been an entrepreneur for the most part of that time. And the last 6 years, tomorrow, actually, I celebrate my 6-year anniversary with a company called Visalis. And we have a 90-day health challenge, and it's the fastest-growing health challenge in the country. And, we added over 100,000 people to our challenge last month. And I'll give you an example, whether it's you want to lose weight, you want to feel better, you want to, be in the best shape of your life, you want to run a 10K or whatever it may be, you're able to do it. And with some of our products and some of the experts, we teach people how to do that. And for me personally, my last 90-day goal was to be in the best shape of my adult life. Well, actually, the 90-day challenge I'm on now is to be in my best adult shape I've ever been in, including the military, and to get the six-pack back. I hadn't had that since I was late teens, early 20s, and so it's happening for me, and I'm 50. And I just did a workout earlier today with one of my buddies who's 46, and he was just huffing and puffing, and he thought he was in pretty good shape, and I was hardly breaking a sweat. And I was just saying, look, I says, there's no competition between you and I. It's about showing that no matter where you're at in life, if you put your mind to it, you can rise above it and be as successful at whatever it is you choose to have or do.
And gee, that's when I look at some of the bigger issues this country is facing, and I try and tell people the politicians just don't have it in their minds that they really want to fix these issues. Let's look at cutting spendings. Why is it that Washington refuses to understand the need to cut spending, and why is it they're not even coming up with any solutions?
Well, that's the magic question that I think everybody wants to know, and I can only give you my opinion on what I see it is from my perspective, and my perspective is that, and I was listening to your intro and some of the things you were saying, is that they're truly missing the boat, and they're very out of touch of reality. And unfortunately, a lot of those politicians did come from business, ventures just like myself. However, they've got caught up into the Beltway vortex. And I used to live out in Washington D.C. area, in Northern Virginia, so I got to experience it firsthand. But there's that vortex. It seems like people come in, and then it's all about the propaganda, and it's all about the protecting their own turf and protecting their own causes, so they cut deals. You help me do this for my cause, and I'll do this for you. And they lose sight of what's really important for this country and what made this country great. And so I believe it's a combination of many, many things, but its basic fundamentals is what it's going to require for us to turn our economy around and turn this country back to what it once was, which is the greatest country on earth, and it's still one of the greatest countries on earth. And I've traveled out to other countries, and we're still very blessed. However, we're about to blow that in a big, big way.
Well, and I agree, and I try and urge people, if you want to get back to the basics, let's return to the original intent of the Constitution. Let's look at the framework that made this country successful. A lot of businesses go through business, and they're operating, and they try and change, and then they realize that change isn't good, and they go back to the original way they first operated. And America operated correctly under the Constitution for years, and as we veered away from that, it hasn't been so good. And now we need to veer back towards the Constitution.
Well, I agree, and I'll give you a couple of examples. I mean, right now we're in March Madness, and, today I'm a big basketball fan, played competitive basketball until I was 40. I still play some basketball, and so, now with the March Madness is going on, you look at some of those teams that are rising above, that were maybe on the brink of being a bubble team or, not a high ranking, and they're starting to perform well, and they go back to the fundamentals. And any team they've gone back and perfected the fundamentals to some degree. And so I always tie things back to how the military does things, how sports teams do things, and being a former military, it's going back to the basics, going back to the fundamentals of what I learned in basic training. I'm going to apply out in the field at some point when I'm doing my mission. And we got to go back to doing that. And the Constitution is what we built this company on. And what's so great about the Constitution is that it's such a simple document that anyone can read it and understand. And we've made it so complicated and so convoluted, and made it so the vortex is spinning in so many different ways, we've lost sight of what was important that our forefathers created, which was lasted for 200 years.
Yeah, and that's what we have to return to. If you want to, life is not complicated. Life's only complicated when people want to complicate it. And we have a simple document, 4,500 pages before we started adding and subtracting and having a Supreme Court analyze and see what they wanted and what they didn't want. All we have to do is return to that, and we can fix a lot of the issues in this country. The problem is the political will. It's like you said, people can accomplish anything if they're motivated to do so. And right now, the motivation just isn't there.
Absolutely. And, my mentor, who also wrote the foreword to my book, Coach Dale Brown, who coached at LSU for 25 years, he's very much in the know. And, he sent me an email the other day, and it was a video of a taping of Congress. And I forget the gentleman what state he was from, but he was talking about how the Obamacare plan was launched basically it really helps 15% of the people in our country, and it's hurting the 85%. And one of the things that I have seen time and time again in my businesses and any of the companies I work for, and including the military, is that when you give solutions and you give opportunity, and you place the it's like putting the carrot out for someone to reach for. If you put that out for a positive gain, people will go for it. And what we're focused on is trying to take care of the few people to penalize the majority of the people, and we need to flip that model upside down, which is where it was. And what I look at it is, if we really wanted to turn things around, you incentivize the 85% of the people, and the 15% will end up getting taken care of in the long run anyway. So we've just totally are working from the wrong perspective. And I've even written to some of our congressmen. I've written to Obama himself. And unfortunately, all I know is I get all the propaganda, and I'm on all the election calls and vote, who are you going to vote for, or what do you stand on this? And it's opened up a can of worms. I'm like, what? Let's just get back to the basics.
And it's so in mine, in your minds, and a lot of other people, it is. It's simple. It's just returning back to our roots. But in a politician's minds, that don't work because it's always in campaign mode. Campaign mode's more important, and fundamentals and roots and getting back to the basics don't resonate as well as some passionate story and blaming somebody else for destroying America.
Correct. And everybody wants to pass the buck. And I believe we're at a point in our economy and with the way the people are right now. And I travel all across the country, and I deal with all different types of, cultures and backgrounds and education levels, and wealthy people to poor people, and I encompassed it all. And one thing that I can truly say is the same across the board is that people understand that we're in a tough situation in our economy, and change has to happen. And I truly believe if somebody said, "I'm not worried about getting reelected. I'm worried about invoking change and positive change," and by doing that, if they had that mindset, which I talk about in my book, is focusing on what you choose to have versus being in fear mode and protection mode, which is actually hindering that individual or whatever their mission is. We had somebody that was like saying, "Hey, I'm going to go lead. I'm going to go invoke the positive change. It may be uncomfortable. However, we're going to be successful here." That guy's going to get reelected.
I agree. Hey, G, we're at a break. Hang tight. We'll see you on the other side. Stay tuned, folks. All right, welcome back. Buy Back America Radio. We're here this hour with G.J. Reynolds. We call him G. He's the author of a book, The Playful and Powerful Warrior Within You. If you have questions or comments for G, you can give us a call at 801-254-5855. G, another one of the things you talk about our politicians is creating job opportunities. Since Washington really technically can't create jobs, what's your view on that? I know it's just your opinion, but I want to hear it.
Well, being an entrepreneur, where you have, being an entrepreneur, and when I've been a successful entrepreneur, I've had to hire people and create jobs. So from my perspective, entrepreneurism is what made this country great. And if you look back to, the early to mid 1900s, we had mom and pop stores, we had, small entrepreneur business owners, and they supported each other, their neighborhoods, and so forth. So we were built on having small businesses. And if we go back to incentivizing people to have a business, and I will say this, as an individual having a home-based business that's an entrepreneur that they work from their home, that's one of the number one tax incentives someone still has. So there are still some incentives left. And what I encourage people to be an entrepreneur, take control of your own economy. And, it can be a scary thing for a lot of people. And that's why I work with people who have that desire to be an entrepreneur and change something about their life from an entrepreneurial standpoint. In my opinion, we have to have our government to incentivize people to create jobs. If I'm creating jobs, then if you help incentivize me to create more jobs, then I'm more likely to create more jobs. Right now, most companies, they're in fear mode because of the way the economy is, and they're in cutback mode. And because gas prices are going up, when that goes up, everything else goes up because it costs more to get it from point A to point B. And if we were just to incentivize people, whether it's corporations or the small entrepreneur, to create jobs, that's one thing we can do right now. And we have so many people that are out of work anyway, that's a positive effect as well. And that creates a more taxable revenue. When you have people out of work, you have less tax revenue coming into the government.
Well, yeah, and that's true. And then they have to go to the people who are working and demand higher rates of return from them because they just don't have the funds available to take care of everything. It's just a vicious circle we're in, and people are just so uninformed and uneducated in this country right now as to what's really happening. And persuading people to actually become informed and educated is sort of tough.
Well, that's true, and that's another thing, that if we incentivize people to do that. However, I believe a lot of our, people in power, they want to keep everyone ignorant. They want it. They don't really want people to know. And the other thing is, I still believe we're in a false economy, which means, even though it may be good and things are going well, it's really a false market. And look at what happened in the mortgage. When it got bad, they still tried to cover it up and pump in dollars and pump in incentives to keep it afloat so it wouldn't crash. Same way with the car industry, same way with the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, pretty much any industry we can name had to deal with some type of downturn, and they were doing whatever they could, as long as they could, so it would stay positive. And, something's going to give at some point, and our economy is on the verge of that. And I believe with what's happening, because we're in an election year, if you look back to previous election years, you'll see that the election year, pretty much, the economy sort of stays intact, whatever it was when it was going into that year, because nobody wants to ruffle the feathers to make it any worse or make it any better. And because you got the people that want to get elected, that are to be new in the office, they want to expose that, and then you got the people that are in the office that want to get elected. They want to sort of defend what they have, and so nothing really gets done in an election year. And however, if you look at the gas pump, that's a good sign of what's happening as well.
Yeah, and that's just going up and up and up, too, with everything that's going on. Your next thing, and we're here at G.J. Reynolds, 801-254-5855. If you have a comment or question, he's the author of the book, The Playful and Powerful Warrior Within You. G, where can people get that book?
Well, they can get it on iBooks, Amazon, any bookstore. If the bookstore doesn't have it, they can order it in. They can also go to my personal site, which is simply G, the letter G, .net, or they could go to powerfulwarrior.com, which is, more about the book. So those multiple ways to get the book, and I'll say this may sound self-promoting. I'll just say it's a real book, it's a real story. I guarantee anybody who reads it will learn something to apply in their own life in a positive way. It can also be a good gift for somebody as well.
So, okay, I talk about this next issue on my show all the time, that America's not a self-producing nation anymore, that we don't create products here in America anymore, and being reliant on other countries is a negative towards our own sovereignty and our own independence and liberty. You talk about being producing products for America also.
Correct, and one of the components as well is having small businesses and entrepreneurial businesses. Early on, we had manufacturing, and then that spurred other businesses to start up. I mean, if you look at the car industry, if you look how that develops, look at how many other ancillary companies started from the production of cars, and they had nothing to do with cars. When you got more people building the cars, you got more medical doctors, you got more dentists, you got more stores, you got more this, more that. And I was just, I travel a lot, and I am amazed at how many retail facilities I see that one time were thriving that are now has empty space or tons of empty space and corporate offices that no one's in them, and at one time they were all full. And so that's a big sign of what's going on, and it goes back to we're not producing anything, or we're not producing enough. We've given everything away to other countries, and now we're dependent on these other countries. And I'm a big believer we've got to get back to producing more products and services here in the U.S., and that we can utilize within our own country. And then if other countries need it or desire it, then we can use that. But we're not competitive in a lot of these markets. That's why we've given our jobs away. However, government did not incentivize a lot of these companies, so the company said, fine, I'll go somewhere else where I can do it cheaper and be successful. As a business owner, I understand that. As a person that lives here in the United States of America, I'm saying that's a bad thing, and look at where we're at. So we definitely have to get back to that. I know my company, we produce all of our products and services here in the United States. We may get a component from another country, but we do everything within our own country, and we're adding jobs. I mean, right now, in our worst economy ever, we grew over 500% last year. over 500% growth our company had. And this year we expect even more. We grew 6 times in the last quarter of last year. And we're adding jobs because we're producing products and services, and we're doing it better than any of our competitors, and we're doing it in a marketplace that is very needed within the U.S. and even globally.
Yeah, it's true, and it's amazing to me where we're headed as America in a whole, and people just aren't waking up to this fact. Now, you travel, you speak, you do motivational speaking, you do a lot of items. What are you recognizing in the will of the people out there, G?
Well, like I said earlier, people that I see at all walks of life are definitely starting to see they're sick and tired of the same song and dance. Most people have no clue what to do or how to go about it. And most people look at our politicians as, you know, not really wanting to listen to the people. So a lot of people feel the power of the people is gone. I say the power of people is still there. We still have the power to vote. We still have the power to, rise up. And when I say rise up, I mean rise up in a positive way, not in a negative way or in a radical way. But people have the vote. And people have to say, look, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and what do we got to do to change that? And we can do that in a positive way. And we've got, and it obviously starts at the voting box, and this year I know it's going to be, I got somebody here knocking on my door, ringing the doorbell, so hopefully that's not creating too much of a problem here.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So, what message, if you had one message you could share with the American people, what would it be?
I would say, for anyone that's listening to this, and anybody would listen, is that start paying attention. Go beyond what you see on the news, because what's a lot of times on the news is what they want us to think is good, or what they want us to think is bad, or it's really, I call it, it's like the layer. If you remove the layer, you see a little bit, you see something else beneath the layer. I say look a little deeper. Do some homework. Wake up and then start really finding out where you can go and have that impact in whatever it is that you choose to have. And obviously, writing our politicians and at the voting, those are different things we can do. I would say rise up in the stance of becoming more educated and look at what's real versus what is a false perception that our media is showing us and our government is showing us.
All right, G, we have a comment or a question from a caller for you. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, how are you doing today?
Good.
Yeah, I don't really have a question. I just kind of something to think about, And as you said, where we're going as a whole and as a country, there's just a lot of things people need to think about. I mean, we talk about the manufacturing over in China and how it's done cheaper, and they have no EPA standards that they need to follow, and they're starting to pay the price over there for that. And from people I talk to that live there or have relatives in Thailand and China, the pollution is just getting overwhelming there. It's amazing, and it's things to think about on where we're going as a country. I mean, sometimes it kind of hurts you to have to say, well, we can't do this because of that. But, down the road, I think we might be liking it, I don't know. I just think we got to really think of long-term stuff. And do you know where I'm going with this? I mean, you kind of
we need to start viewing as a country the long-term picture, the big picture.
Yeah,
because we're short-sighted. We're an instant gratification nation.
Yeah, I went to that conference last night, and I was energetic as ever. I had my petition there, and I had walks of all life signing that petition. And most people signing that petition were people that have gone through the immigration process and all different ethnics, every different nationality, Poland, Germany, Chinese, Thailand, Tongan. Everybody has gone through the process of coming into this country and gone through the immigration thing, and was so happy to sign that petition to repeal HB 116. But big turnout, and I'm really happy to see that people are coming on board. It was very breathtaking for me to see people getting involved and wanting to take part in the direction of this country. I'll see you guys later.
All right, see ya. So, that's people are getting involved here, GJ, and we need more of it, much more of it. We need people all over America to wake up and get involved.
Well, absolutely, and you touched on a point, is the short-sightedness, and obviously when things start affecting people in their personal life, and one that's, most people start to see is when they go to the grocery store or the gas pump, that's the wake-up. The other component is because of the short-sightedness, we have no formal plan, and I feel, based on what I've seen across the country, is that if we had a solid plan, that we had 100% buy-in, even if it was going to create some discomfort. However, it's a real plan. It's an authentic plan. It's what's really best for the country and the people, without the propaganda and the personal gain. It's a real established plan. You begin with the end in mind. And anything that I've ever done from a business perspective is like begin with the end in mind. When I wrote my book, ultimately I want to have a finished product. All right, so that's the end in mind. How do I want it to look? What do I want it to do? Then I had to work back. Okay, well, here I am today, writing my first word in the chapter 1. So having a clear process and an understanding and a beginning with the end in mind, then you can't. Right now we have no end in mind, and it's a hodgepodge way of behaving, and that's got to change. And when we just start doing that at the government level, I believe we'll definitely start seeing the changes. But by doing it at the local level, and I know a lot of local counties and cities are starting to feel major pressures, and then some of them are having to get creative in order to maintain the same quality of life or to move the quality of life forward in growth. They've got to get creative, and I think taking a plan that local counties are doing to be successful, that'll eventually go to the state level, and hopefully it'll go to the country. So we can work it from the bottom up versus top down is another way we can do it as well.
Yeah, and that's important. We'll be back after this break with G.J. Reynolds, author of The Playful and Powerful Warrior Within You. Hang tight. We'll see you on the other side. All right, welcome back. Buyback America Radio, the final segment. We're here this final hour with G.J. Reynolds. He's the author of The Playful and Powerful Warrior Within You. The phone number is 801-254-5855. G, you dragged yourself up from rock bottom. You decided that you had a mission in life that you had to fulfill, that people needed to hear a message, and you've been delivering that message. How can other people drag themselves up? What was it that was your turning point?
Well, I would say it was really a process. I would say there were 3 components that were key. One is knowing that I had the ability within me to make the change. So realizing I had the ability to make whatever change that I really sought out. Obviously, when I was in that mindset, I didn't see the clarity avoided me of moving forward, which led to really the second component of surrounding myself with the right people that cared about me, people that believed in me. And one of the things that I've witnessed firsthand is that sometimes it requires somebody believing in me or me believing in someone else before they'll believe in themselves. And so, be around positive people is a positive direction. I was with a gentleman earlier today who's one of my business partners, and he lives in Wisconsin, and I said, and he's like, he says, I'm thinking about making a change. I said, well, wherever you make that change is go where there's positive people that will incite you to invoke your positive change to even a greater level. And then the third component is, finding that mentorship of somebody that's walked that path where you choose to go, even though you may not know how to go there. And I'll give you an example, like Coach Dale Brown. A lot of people in the state of Louisiana, he carries, he's very well known and very well respected in the state of Louisiana. a lot of people would be afraid to go up to him and learn from him. And now I've had a personal relationship since I was a little kid, so I've been blessed to have him in my life off and on over the last almost 40 years. And I know him personally in the sense that he wants to help other people that want to help themselves. And so there's a lot of mentors out there that were willing to help people to learn how to go and move forward in a positive way. They're willing to share their knowledge.
Well, and I agree, G. Thank you. One more time, where can people get this book, The Playful and Powerful Warrior Within You?
Well, they can go to simplyg.net, or they can go to powerfulwarrior.com, or any bookstore, or iBooks, or Amazon, or the Kindle, and anywhere you can get a book, you can do that. And I would love for anybody to get the book. It's a good read, as I shared earlier. I guarantee you'll learn something, and it'll have positive impact in your own personal life, and it's a good start to reclaiming your own personal power.
All right, G. Thank you. You have a good day.
Well,
thanks for joining us.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, and y'all have a great day.
You too.